right, so the clock has struck 5, so I think it's time to begin. So we begin this program. So a very special good evening, friends, and a big welcome to you to this very special and very important program because it's all about automotive retail. And today we have a multi-starrer, a mega-starrer program with the top and the best auto retailers of India. And here we are to discuss our problems, our opportunities. When the best minds come together, I'm sure something special surely comes out. So before we begin the program, and I'll show you the details of the speakers and the points that we have to discuss, if we can just take a couple of moments to just pray for someone whom we just lost just last night, Mr. Ashish Dhar, who was the head of sales, marketing, and customer care EV business at Tata Motors. We can just take a few moments to pray for him, his soul, and strength to his family. Fine. Thank you so very much, friends. That was very special on your part. And of course, we welcome the attendees as well. So without further ado, let's begin this program. I'll just quickly share my screen, friends, and show you the points, that we had received. So we begin with the title of the program, and that is The Auto Retail Business in the COVID Era. And this is WAF Gurus Live episode 14. And this entire series, friends, is about to cross 1 million views across 125 countries. Something very special for us. We just started this in March, just a couple of days in lockdown. So friends, we have Mr. Sanjay Thakker, he's the chairman and founder, Group Landmark. We have Mr. Vinkesh Gulati, he's the VP at FADA and the managing partner at United Automobiles. We have Mr. Tanuj Pugalia, who's the chairman and MD of Pugalia Group. We have Mr. Arun Uppuswamy, he's the co-founder and director of Kun Auto Group. Then, of course, we have Mr. Amit Jain. He's the CEO of Jubilant MotorWorks. We have Mr. Vaibhav Jain, who's the director of Liftech Group. And we have Mr. Rakesh Kaul, who's the chief distribution officer at Edelweiss General Insurance. And, of course, it's me, Anuj Guglani from World Auto Forum. So, friends, we cannot go ahead unless we talk about our beautiful annual partners, who make our day, who make our lives, who help us pay our bills. So friends, in gold partners, we have Gallops Motors, a Pugalia group venture, one of the most professional auto retail chains in India. Then we have Motor Uncle. It's a group company for the confused car buyer and the hassled car service customer, motoruncle.com. Then we have our OEM partner, Volkswagen India, the #1 car maker all across the world, known for their safe and well-built cars. Then we have Amplus Solar. They are the leaders in solar technology, and they're on a mission to transform the automotive industry, the warehouses, dealerships, and factories to solar. And we have Shell, which is world's #1 lubes company. We have K2B, one of the top learning companies of India, which is into enterprise training and learning. And friends, our associate partner is Jubilant MotorWorks. They are again one of the leaders in automotive retail, representing several brands across the country, part of the Jubilant Group. And of course, our media partners, Autotech Review, a leading auto technology journal of the world, and Patriot, a newspaper with a fine lineage started by our revered freedom fighter, Srimati Aruna Asafaliji, 6 decades back, known for their unbiased media. So friends, this is our topic, and of course, I'll quickly come to the points. These were the top 11 points that we had, received from people, our members around the world. So stuff like, the most important, generating demand. Which all buttons need to be pressed, whether it's new cars, used cars, then working capital requirement, getting banks, NBFCs, FIs to be the guide by the side, as we keep hearing that the banks are yet to loosen their strings. Then digital marketing, going from hype to action mode. Just day before today in the news in the US, the leading retail chain Auto Nation, they said that last month in June, 45% of their sale was through online, which is a huge, huge leap even for them. They're managing and again engaging the existing customers in a brand new way. During COVID, what is a new way the customer needs to be engaged? Then after sales business finally gets its due. I'm sure the dealers were always pretty much focused on this, but yes, a lot of OEMs probably were not, which again, they have got back their focus. Then optimizing inventory, vehicles, parts, managing and engaging our own employees in a brand new way, a few best practices for the current times and challenges. Then the same thing for our suppliers too. What's the best way forward to engage our suppliers? Overall strategy for relationship and credibility management. As they say in business, two things most important: relationship and credibility. And how to optimize cost in doing business. So if we can, share some best practices and live examples, and yes, something very relevant for our speakers here, managing business with multiple outlets, multiple OEMs, and diverse vehicle lines. So I'll stop sharing my screen here and we quickly get into the conversation. And if we can begin with Mr. Sanjay Thakker, who is the founder and the chairman of Group Landmark, which is one of the biggest or probably the biggest automotive retail chain in the country. So Mr. Thakker, how you and your team are fighting these challenges right now? How do you think where the recovery will happen? And few best practices if you can share to overcome these challenges.
Thanks, Anuj. We are all here, and who would have thought that we would all be sharing this screen? We are all used to getting onto a dais and maybe getting garlanded or some, maybe I'll wait for that day again soon. But yeah, coming back to the point, things have changed and they haven't. Both things I can say at the same time. When I say change, I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. But when I say it has not changed, what am I really talking about? The view that we hold, and that is getting strengthened day by day, is that the personal mobility is not going to go away. First thing, as far as the industry is concerned, let's get that upfront. And the second thing, which is in a way heartening to know, is that neither is the buying habits. Though we all are talking about digital, and digital is clearly the way to go, it does not mean that physical walk-ins into the showrooms are not going to happen or are not happening. Now that's over the next 1.5 hours we will talk about. But what I can right now, my first remark would be that it's good to know that personal mobility is center stage. It's better that it becomes a necessity than a luxury item. Maybe the government will start taxing it lesser and public will start buying more of it. So that's what we believe has happened. And our group has taken this time out to reduce a lot of costs, as a lot of other people have done. And we are a lean and mean fighting machine, raring to go. Thank you.
That's fantastic. I think great words, Mr. Thakker. We are a lean, mean machine waiting to fight and get to the market. And of course, Mr. Thakker, you're absolutely correct. We would have never thought, we'll be meeting like this, and as there was this good old joke, what expedited digital adoption in your organization? Chairman, MD, COVID. So we all know what expedited. We would have, the way digital has been adopted, even in the West, it's unparalleled. So taking these things and now coming to you, Vinkesh Bhai, you are the Vice President and FADA. You have your own multiple dealerships, multiple OEMs. You are the man who has the national sentiment of automotive retail. So first of all, what is the sentiment? Second, because you are at that place where you get to know so many best practices from all over. If you can share some sutras, some secrets, and make them public.
Thanks, Anuj. Thanks, everybody. So practically, Anuj, let me set the context first. We are not in a good phase. And if you remember, we were attempting to recover from a precipitous drop in annual sales in 2019. It was we were thinking that good times are there to come, and as FADA and even other dealers, we were giving a figure that by festive 2020 we'll be back to 2018 numbers, and within 6 months or so we'll be having a growth. And COVID happened, and so we know what has happened now. We saw what in passenger vehicle, if we say that we saw an 18% degrowth from, if I talk of Q1 from 19 to 20. And if you compare it to 21, it's a 78% degrowth. That's huge. Obviously, we know that half of Q1 was in lockdown, so we cannot exactly monitor that or make it a base. But it shows what's the future lies, at least for this financial year. Obviously, not minus 78%, but around 25% or 35%, depending on category to category. Like commercial vehicle or three-wheeler, you may see 50% down also. But luckily for two-wheeler and passenger vehicle, we are still hopeful that we'll be seeing some 25-30% down as compared to 2020 and not 2019. So that is where the current situation is. And we all know that economic recovery depends on the return of the customer. And seeing the intermittent lockdown which we are going through, that's not the thing which we are seeing very early to happen. So June was a good month because customers came back to the market thinking now lockdown is over. So whatever corona issues were, they'll still continue, but the fear was over. But these lockdown again at all places for weekends or for a week for some city or some containment area have created again the doubts in the customer's mind, and customers are now wary of making any big discretionary purchases. They are spending in the essential commodity items, but not where we belong to, which our trade is. So obviously things are not very good for the current phase, but it's very good on the other hand that all the dealerships, everybody from small to big or multi like us, we have all found a reset phase happening. So it's like a reset button to us, and we are now preparing for rebound. And when it rebound would happen, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year. But whenever we come back, like Sanjay bhai said, we'll be very, very lean and very efficient. So maybe I'm hoping that we'll regain those old numbers with at least 30% less expenses or overheads, and our viability will go more. So not a good thing to say, but maybe this period has given us a time to rethink how to do our business in future. And our trade, we have seen all ups and downs. If you remember, 2008 was a bad, 2001 was something which we want to forget. We are a very resilient community. All dealers, I'm sure they'll come back with a big bang, and we are waiting that to happen. Let's hope it is this festive 2020, not that at least in the Q1 calendar year 2021.
Well, that's fantastic, Vinkesh bhai. And I think the way Mr. Thakker and you have set the tone, so positive, so empowering, that we have to take these as a learning and to be ready for the future. It's fantastic. Really kudos to you. And also, something I would like to say that the way you're absolutely right. Automotive retailers actually are probably the most resilient, because even till 2017, 18, when used to be that era when the OEMs could push the inventory down the throat and the dealers would not say much. And now, thanks to a lot of change in the way the work is done, and also the way FADA as a body has come up, and the way the retail figures get published, and even the forecasts which are shared by OEMs with the suppliers, the component guys, even they are based on retail now to a bit. I think that's a big transformation happening, possibly thanks to these challenges that we are facing in a way.
Yeah, agree.
Okay, so Tanuj bhai, coming to you. So Tanuj bhai, you have multiple dealerships across Maharashtra, across Gujarat. Some things that you're doing, for cutting costs or saving on resources, engaging your manpower. Please feel free to share.
Sanjay, you are mute. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So the first thing is definitely the cost structure, what we were looking at in the lockdown periods, and we could get the time to analyze it very closely, look at it, understand where the cost can be brought down, and we have really worked upon it very hard. And fortunately for us, as Vinkesh bhai said, 30% is the benchmark which every dealer would have set for himself. We have not yet achieved 30%, but we have a strategy and a plan going ahead, which we will look at those numbers. So we have done multiple things. Like to share with you a few is like we have renegotiated our rentals at many places, and we've been successfully done that. People have understood our issues, they know the market, they have the feeler of we have to make them understand how the market is behaving and how the business is creating cost pressures, and we've been successfully doing that. The stocks have gone down drastically. We have ensured that we have started working on a 15 to 20 day stock from 45 days to 60 day stock earlier, which has also helped us to bring down the cost. A lot of realignment in the manpower has been done. There was a lot of natural movement of manpower. People in Bombay especially, they have moved back to their hometowns, and that also gave us an added opportunity to realign the entire manpower, the teams, and bring down the cost of the HR side of our dealerships. So all these things put together have substantially, gave us a good saving. At the same time, there is another challenge which was being faced by us was the advertisement costs. They were constantly surging. This, as you rightly said, Anuj, the director, the MD, or the COVID, whatever taught us digitalization has also taught us how we can generate. Digital has pulled a lot of traffic, and that engaging digitally for our marketing purposes has given us good fruits. So we have seen that the cost is, fractional and or maybe very, very less than what we were doing earlier, but the same amount of inquiries are being generated. So going digital has also helped us a lot. I think all put together, the costs have been controlled by these measures.
Great. So Tanuj, one more question. The employees, our employees who might have been earning a good incentive, healthy, amounts, those amounts might have gone down because of the retails going down possibly. So how are they taking it? How are we managing our employees, their, mental health and spirits?
Yeah, so as the right word, what you use is mental health. Most of them are mentally, a lot of people, because of the negative sentiments which they have gone through in the last 3 months, they themselves have kind of realigned to the current situations. At the dealership end, the incentives have gone up at most of the places because, today performance has to be rewarded. Because there is a huge set of people who have their valid reasons for not performing. And in these circumstances, when a person comes up and performs, we need to reward them. So the reward sizes have gone up. So there is no reason for anyone to complain at the other end. And at the same time, the costs have gone down for the people as well. Their cost of living, their cost of lifestyle has gone down as well. So I don't see much of complaints going around in our dealerships. There are few unhappy faces, but they are majorly content and they have adjusted to the current scenarios.
Wow. So that's a new term we have, unhappily content. Fantastic. All right. So I think that's a pretty counter-instinctive strategy to actually increase the incentives and reward the extra mile which our people might be going. It's fantastic. So coming to Mr. Arun. Mr. Arun, you have so many OEMs, so many dealerships represented in the south of India. How is, first of all, how are the people taking it? Some best practices in stock management, saving cost, and that 30% figure of cost saving. Is that familiar to you as well?
Yeah, so pretty much like what the other panelists mentioned, we're having a similar approach to things. So it's about, slashing down on rent, asking for a rent reduction. Stock levels have gone down significantly across the board, and also about manpower. I think this is like, starting off with a blank slate. So pretty much we've we were fat, excessive, whatever in our body. And then, we all wake up one day to this rude shock, like an MI. And now we're thinking, okay, I need to start exercising. I need to, shed all this excess fat around my waist. So that is exactly what has happened. So we've kind of, gone back to, the reset button, like what you earlier mentioned. And a lot of people have not come back after the COVID because our states still kind of, are in various phases of lockdown. So manpower as such has actually reduced quite a bit. About 15-20% of natural attrition has happened. They haven't come back. So we got to wait and see what's going to happen. And stock levels, yes, it's a big correction. And as you mentioned in the past, we were probably not pushing the OEs that hard, right? So now we are like, hey, I've got to live. So, we got to live for another day. So that's where we are. And again, in the past, all the where we were on lease, we couldn't really push back landlords. Now we're saying we're going to just vacate, and so they're coming back and saying, okay, let's make this a win-win. So I don't know. I mean, this is a new world order. This is going to remain like this in the near future. I think 12, 18 months, who knows? I mean, everybody says, okay, it's going to peak in October or November. It's anybody's guess. So it's about trying to stay afloat, try to stay alive, conserve cash as much as possible, and kind of, cut down whatever you can, and just stay afloat for the better times.
Beautiful, beautiful, Mr. Arun. So, Mr. Arun, taking a leap from your conversation, also what Tanuj Bhai had mentioned, the stock correction. In one of our programs a couple of years back, the India Vehicle Sales and Marketing Summit, one of the top automotive retailers had given this idea that from the topmost north to the top, to the southern tip of India, right from the east to the west, if you go by road, it doesn't take more than 3 or max 4 days. So that should be the number of stocks that should a dealer ideally should be carrying. So if it has come down from 60 to 25, 30, where do you see it going from 25 to actually 2 or 3 or 5 days? Is it possible?
So I think OEs also need to relook at the whole distribution strategy. So for instance, I mean, we've got a manufacturer in the north, maybe a Maruti or Honda motorcycles or Honda cars. You probably need to have a warehouse or a stockyard in the south, wherein you're actually reducing the transit from manufacturer to dealer. And secondly, we have this big component of GST, ranging from 29 to 50%. So the minute it leaves the plant, you're actually blocking about 20%, 29 to 50% of that money with the government, right? So whereas it lies in the stockyard of the manufacturer, let's say in the south, there's no need for that. So not only are you reducing the transit time, but you're also kind of, reducing the amount of money stuck in the form of GST. And today, between inquiry to booking and booking to retail is probably 15 to 25 days, right? So you're spot on. I mean, why hold so much of stock? But transit time hasn't, I mean, we are in the south and we have manufacturers in the north. So it takes anywhere from 8 to 11 days to get, cars from north to the south. So I think we should probably be operating, maybe not 3 days, maybe, a week or so. But I think regional stockyard, some manufacturers do have those. But I think a regional stockyard would actually help. I mean, so the whole value chain will probably start seeing a lot more benefit from that.
I kind of agree with what Arun is saying. I'll just jump in over here.
Sure.
My view is pretty strong on this matter of stock. Now, it's just that we have been grown used to having a certain business model. And that business model itself needs to be relooked at. Now, India is having amongst the highest interest rates in the world. India also has some the car dealer margin is amongst the lowest that we operate in. Now, you have to look at the entire kind of a business model that we are all running and see what is viable. So the whole thing is that you start with the viability or profitability of the network as the centerpiece. I'm not saying that the other things are not important, but the centerpiece should change. And that is how you kind of build the business model all over again. And this is what I keep on saying in many of the forums that I attend. The thing is that the entire business model is based on a situation when in the 1980s and 90s when Maruti had a kind of a monopoly and it did not really matter what really you need to do. So that's how the business margin, the whole business is structured around an era which has gone by. So we need to evolve with time and basically rework everything, including margins, including the stock holding, including the labor rates, including everything that is under the sun for us to grow. Many people say that the Indian auto market is not growing. One of the reasons, I'm just throwing up an idea, is because dealers don't make money. The moment they start making money, they'll start selling more cars. Is that a possibility? I don't know. Let's even think about it.
Great, Mr. Thakker.
Anuj bhai, adding to this, FADA has been advocating this from a long time. Last year, we advocated for a 21 days stock. This time, post-COVID, we have changed it to 10 to 12 days. With a point that the manufacturer should now work with just-in-time and just-in-case strategy. So just-in-time for the regular models, which are fast-moving, and just-in-case strategy for the slower model, which we say sometimes stranger models also. So they have a stock RSOs, the stock outlets, where they can keep these slow-moving models and automatically no dealers loses sales because they are available there. And the fast-moving models are being taken by dealer directly from plant visit. And the fast-moving item normally moves in 10 days. It doesn't take more time. It's the slow-moving items which creates a stock which goes up to 30 days or 40 days. So we already and requesting them to shift to that. Many OEMs have been positive on it, and let's see with the COVID effect, some will at least shift to that. Like Sanjay bhai said, if Maruti shifts, everybody shifts. So hope Maruti shifts to that.
Wow. So we only have to hope and pray that Maruti shifts. We are Maruti shifts. As simple as that. Okay. So going by that example, if Mr. Thakker also does something, we also would probably follow suit, huh? So by the way, correct me if I'm wrong. All the OEMs have a just-in-time and a direct online mechanism at their own plants, assembly line. So none of the OEMs are holding stock. It's all direct online and just-in-time. But the dealers have to hold the stock and the suppliers have to hold the stock. And this takes me to the quotation of Dr. Goenka that we should, as an OEM, we should not push our problems down the throat of our suppliers and our dealers. He said that in that video which we played before the program. So correct me if I'm wrong. We are paying high rentals. We have low margins. We are paying the highest interest, right? We have to carry stock of 25 days, which is ideally should be, just in time. Still, we are in love with this profession of being a dealer. So what is so special being an automotive retailer? Despite all these problems and challenges, we are not giving up. We are so resilient.
That's a passion. So when we were brought, I remember when I was too young, 5 years or 6 years, I was opening the first toy which I remember was a car. So and the second thing I remember I was opening by a screwdriver the car and trying to do something. So it's a passion which grew up with us, and most of us is actually passionate. We don't treat this as a business. We are not traders. We treat it as a passionate thing. So that is why we are all involved.
Why forgot the gun?
No, the business intrinsically is profitable if you run it well. It's just that there are a lot of things that the levers have to be exactly tuned. You can't have one or the other things. So business as such is not a loss-making business if you run it properly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's a very candid perspective from Mr. Thakker, and we appreciate that. You have to run it well like any other business, and it will give you good returns. So switching gears, coming to Mr. Amit Jain. So Amit bhai, you've been listening patiently to all the speakers. You are representing so many OEMs. What's your take on the current challenges?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me on the forum. And I see all the stalwarts of the industry sitting and hearing their thoughts. So I think that itself is a great learning. So, from what I've heard so far from, Mr. Thakker, Mr. Pugalia, Arun ji, and Mr. Gulati, I think this echoes the thoughts that everybody in the retail industry is struggling with, auto retail, and they're pretty much doing the same things. I think the going strategy or the going norm should be that, India is an underserved country when it comes to per capita car ownership, right? With 25 cars per 1,000 people or 40 cars per 1,000 people, going by various reports, there is still a lot of headroom in personal car ownership in the country. I think that should give everybody who's engaged in this business a lot of heart on where the business can grow to. But having said that, there are issues, right? There are issues which are not only precipitated by COVID, but they've been there, before going into COVID for the last 2 years. The industry has been struggling with a variety of issues which we were trying to come out of. So I would like to put, a lot of questions that you put in your introduction screen are already something which all of us were grappling with even before this started. And if I have to put all these thoughts in 3 categories, and that's how I think about this, are structural issues of the industry, operational issues, and something which I called unlocking the value issue, right? So structural issues are, first of all, what do we call ourselves as an industry? Are we retail industry? Are we automotive industry? Let's be clear about that. Auto dealerships, are they retail or are they automotive? If you are retail industry, we have to treat ourselves like retail and, structure ourselves like retail operations. We are a part of automotive industry, but are we automotive? I think we would categorize ourselves as retail. And the metrics which are used to measure retail industry are very different from what we measure ourselves as. Structure of the industry, which Sanjay bhai spoke about, highest cost of corporate capital in the world, lowest margin in the world, rentals which are equivalent to the developed nations. Where does that leave the structure of viability of a auto dealer operation, right? I remember a long back when I was with an OEM, and in one of the international teaching or learning forums, one of the trainers said, you can never make money in your country with these kind of cost of capital and margins, right? So even if you want to learn how to, you will have to cut corners, and that is what you will end up doing, right? That's one. Second, I think what Sanjay bhai also referred to, the industry is, the agreements with the OEMs and dealers are very much one-sided, right? Let me say, take an example. Let's say there is an OEM, he appoints you as a dealer. If you want to become a dealer for OEM H, you need to seek his approval. But if he wants to appoint another dealer 5 kilometers from you, he doesn't need any kind of approval.
Fair
Right? So there is an upper ceiling which he will limit you to in terms of you making money, right? But when the downturn comes, the questions of the efficiencies, the manpower, the quality of the manpower, quality of operations, everything starts getting questioned, right? If you were to read any of the OEM dealer agreements, you would not sign it. I bet. You go to a lawyer, get him to say sign this agreement, he'll advise you not to. Right, so that needs to change, and I think FADA is doing some good work there. One of the examples which was taken was this 30 days of stock. Why 30 days of stock? Who mandated it? What is the requirement? Right? Nobody's questioned that in the past. I think some of these questions on a structural level need to be answered now, and I think OEMs have a lot to answer for that. So brief there. I think I can go on and on this topic. But coming to the next big one, which is the operational efficiencies, right? So in a dealership ecosystem, there are so many people who make money off the dealership ecosystem, right? So be it your vendors, be it your partners, your tool suppliers, part suppliers, your financial institutions, everybody. A car is just not a car, it's a relationship with the customer, right? So the KPIs which are measured traditionally for last 100 years, I think, on the sales side are conversion ratios and test drives, right? The OEM regional manager or OEM team would come and say, why is your conversion ratio low? Or why is your test drive low? I think these are also metrics which are no more relevant. When a new launch happens, these ratios go for a toss. Or when a downturn happens, these ratios again go for a toss. True. So I think it's not very scientifically measured on what creates sales, what creates demand, and how that demand is fulfilled.
So Amit bhai, are there some new metrics you'd like to suggest? If you feel that conversion ratio test drives are 100 years old and they need to be dumped, what should be measured and monitored?
So I'll come to that. So I think these are used as metrics because understand this, that the OEMs have such a big say on how you operate, that being the last mile of the value chain of a car, which is face to the customer, as a dealer, you have very limited opportunities, right? Because the structure is such, your financial incentives are structured in such a way that you have to follow those metrics, and you have to adhere to those standards if you want to earn that small additional money that you get, right? So I think those need to be questioned as well. Also, in the process, because of these top-down initiatives which are OEM driven, a lot of dealers don't focus on the real revenue stream possibility, right? And one thing which is coming up now is the pre-owned car business. Why is India nowhere near, Indian dealers, us, not selling as many cars, used cars as dealers globally do? For every car, if my understanding is correct, there are 3 used cars which get sold by a dealer elsewhere, right? And we hand our business on a platter to a broker, right? Because we've never tried to understand that business, and OEMs traditionally have not had a focus on you doing that business.
So please correct me if I'm wrong. Now I think almost every OEM has a branded used car business running right from the dealership.
So what is the core for that? The used car business is not as a used car business. Okay. That is to support how to sell more new cars. So they don't really care what you buy it at, what you sell it at, how efficient you are there, as long as it helps you sell a new car, because then they will be able to wholesale one new car to you.
Okay, so the point here is that we, as of now, the only focus is how I can sell a new car by using that used car program as just an enabler. So used
it is an enabler. Let's not be fooled. Any OEM driven used car program is to that end, right? Because he doesn't get any money. He doesn't get any money unless he wholesales a car to you, right? and that wholesale can only happen when you sell a new car.
Like True Values are different outlets, they are dedicated different outlets, and
So it is then left to dealerships' abilities, or there are successful examples, right? But that is left to you. And I think as dealers, it is important that we start focusing on that. So I've taken away a lot of time. I'll just close with the last and most important one in my point, my view, which is the unlocking the value concept, which I say, right? As a dealer, we add a lot of value to customers, right? It is a relationship that we sell. It is not a one transaction which gets over at the time of sale of a car. But there have not been too many successful examples, of where dealers have been able to unlock the value that they've created in 20 years, 30 years, 50 years of their operations. When I say unlock the value, today you see businesses, they create value and they unlock it by getting additional investment in or leveraging it. The only successful example is sitting in the center of our screen. And, he's actually inspired an entire generation in this country on trying to figure out how to unlock value from retail operations in automotive, right? I think that is also to a large extent because OEMs have dominated this relationship so much that, it's like that line from that song, Hotel California, right? You can check in anytime, but you can never leave. Right? That's how the dealership business is. You start doing that business, doing that business, but you don't know how to exit, because exit is as costly or more costly in dealership operations as maybe running or getting into it is. So unless there is a structure which gets created where consolidation happens, people start leveraging economies of scale, bring in common best practices, that's the way to go to grow this industry. So I've taken away a lot of time. I'm sorry. It was important to be said.
Sure, Amit Bhai. So those are very candid views from Mr. Amit Jain, who's the CEO at Jubilant MotorWorks. Stuff like why are the OEM contracts one-sided? Why is the used car program just to promote new car sales? And, also that line from Hotel California. So, but what I feel personally, been in the automotive for almost 20 years now, I feel that the OEMs add a huge value. Surely a lot of alignment can be done between the OEMs and dealers and consumers. But I think that brand which the dealer is representing, that brand carries a lot of weight and a lot of aura around it, without which a lot of value gets, vanished overnight, instantly, if that brand is not there. So I think a lot of value surely gets added by the OEM and also by the processes that they give. Surely they need improvement, which is, a continuous process in life, but I'm sure a lot of value add gets done. And yes, we look forward to a lot of value getting unlocked. So with these words now, switching gears and going to Mr. Vaibhav Jain, who's a director at Liftech Group and also who has a VW dealership in NCR. So Mr. Jain, how you feel you can lift the spirits of your teams and your consumers? Some special sutras on that if you can share.
First of all, thank you so much for having me here today. First of all, I would like to say that as you all know, that our industry was already on a decline when the lockdown happened. Year on year, it was on a drop of 18% when the lockdown happened in March. And this COVID thing is bound to make it even worse. And this is what all our dealer partners are facing today. Going by after the lockdown, we expected that after 2 months of complete lockdown, the June may be a very welcoming month for our sales and after sales businesses. But unfortunately, though we were standalone as a month, it was okay. But if you count 2 months where no operations happened, it was not good enough. And it's only going to get worse going in the next months, July, August, and it's going to be tough. And it's important to realize that this is the way it is going to happen. Now, coming to the operational cost of our businesses, we like the mantra is to reduce it by say 30%, or everyone is trying to do it. But we realize that reducing any operation, because this is a show business. We realize very well that this is a show business, and even though the digital is growing, but customer flow to the showroom has decreased, but it's still coming. So reducing on the infrastructure cost drastically is not very possible. Our manpower cost, which contribute to about 40% of our total operational cost. This is that area where everyone has to look, whether it is sensitive topic like reducing the manpower or lowering down the salary or increasing the variable part. It will depend on every business, on it will differ for every dealer. There's no success mantra for anyone, but everyone has to look after their own parameters, like what is the total sales potential, what is the margin retention per car, and accordingly we have to devise a plan how we can curb our losses. Today we are not looking to maximize the profits, which was earlier the case. We are looking to minimize our losses. We want to be in a situation where we don't shell out the money. So we are in a multi-dealer city like in Delhi, where multiple dealers are there. Reducing on our inventory is also very difficult, and it's a challenge because customers come with different expectations, and even though finance today is difficult, but there are still always going to be customers who will want a car at the required time. Their expectations are endless. You cannot, even in this time, you cannot say that the customer will not have their set of expectations when choosing a different brand and the car from that brand. Maybe the waiting time, reducing the inventory cost from 25 days or 30 days to 15 days, we realize that it's not very much likely for us in a multi-dealer city, because it will eventually result in loss of sales.
You feel so, Mr. Vaibhav, that in a multi-dealer competitive environment, you actually cannot afford to carry low stock?
I believe so.
Okay.
Because I definitely believe so, because customer is searching for different dealerships if they are located nearby, and having a product with the dealer right price, you need all tick marks to be able to sell. While I was talking about the operational cost, see, I found it very difficult to reduce our operational cost by a significant amount. I realized only way to curb our losses is to not allow sales to drop. And anything like a digital thing is growing now. You just don't want to have all the tie-ups with the companies like Car Dekho, Car Wale, just like everyone is doing it, Facebook marketing, they are spending everything. But we have to realize that there has been many surveys that has been done for Indian customers that going ahead, 70% of the customers is going to use digital mechanism to buy his car. So just having these tie-ups, I think we have to get a step ahead. We have to start collecting reviews of the customers, because customer explores online and is inclined to buy from where he sees positive reviews, best reviews. This is a competitive environment where different brands are going for their sales. They want the customers, even co-dealers have a competition amongst themselves to get the sales in a multi-dealer city especially. So best reviews, having them upfront online in all social medias, success stories of the customers associated with you, you have to cash on it. If ever there was a time for search engine optimization, having the best top placements at the Google, because this is where the customer starts his search, you need to invest in that. And only the sales can save our automobile dealerships in the current scenario. Curbing down our operational costs, you can do renegotiate rentals for some time. It will differ from dealer to dealer, but this coronavirus thing may go for a longer period. So these are just very, very short-term measures. You need manpower at their best motivation level to face these situations.
Surely.
You just need to think ways, which was your first point actually, how to generate demand, how to increase demand.
Absolutely.
You know, today my sale loss can be the sales potential for my nearby dealers.
Absolutely.
You have to realize that this is a competitive environment.
True.
This is a showbiz. You cannot let your feet down here.
Absolutely. Right, Mr. Jain. So surely customer needs to be focused on, and the battle now is not just in the showroom, but it's on the Google reviews and our reviews online, the special consumer moments. And by the way, before we come to Rakesh, who has been patiently listening to us, and Rakesh will give you some extra time for that. We haven't spoken anything on the after sales business and how that can help us, get through these challenging times. So first we get Rakesh in, and then we can also have a discussion on the after sales business enabling us and our profitability. So Rakesh, a lot of dealerships have been saying for a while, that the insurance companies, banks, and the FIs actually are like the partners, of dealerships. A lot of the DPs, the dealer principals, say that they at times feel they have two partners, more partners, one insurance company, the other bank. Because every product gets insured twice, first from the factory to the dealership, then the retail insurance. So how do you feel the FIs, the banks, insurance players can really empower, be the guide by the side for car companies, vehicle makers, vehicle dealers at this hour?
Thank you, Anuj. Thanks for having me on your panel. I think, first of all, I think from an insurance industry point of view, the auto business has got a big hit in terms of how the COVID situation is. So the premiums for us are actually down by about 30% YOY. What we also need to understand is that the auto insurance itself contributed the largest in the entire insurance business. So about 35 to 40% over the last 3-4 years of the total insurance premium that gets collected in this country comes from auto insurance. So it is a very integral part of the way we look at insurance overall. And I think April, May months were real shockers for the insurance industry as such. But what has been helpful is that the April is a big month from a commercial business point of view. And the health insurance number, because of the COVID situation, has kind of brought the action back, and the insurance companies are kind of stressing focus there. For us, we were a small company, and we're just getting our grooves into place. So our primary base of having a digital operating model actually helped us out in the COVID time. So while we did not prepare for COVID, for us it was not a business continuity plan; it was business as usual. So it took us about only 24 hours move from offices to home and actually be continuing to do what we were doing. And one of the prime examples for us in that is the contact center, the call center, which is generally exists for the insurance company, where claims get registered, or a customer has a grievance or a complaint, then he calls them. For us, not even a single day, not even a single hour, not even a single minute, the contact center has been down. So that has been the success of so this actually tested the core of insurance companies, whether they were capable of handling scenarios of Mumbai floods or Chennai floods or those kind of scenarios. So this was the actual test, because it happened across the country, and because of your geographical constraints or so, you were not impacted. From an insurance point of view, I think we are very keen in terms of how do we innovate and how do we bring products. For example, the auto insurance product or the car insurance product has been pretty mundane, sitting there for last 25-30 years. And prior to privatization, you used to go to these garages, to get these spare parts, and then get them repaired, then go to the insurance companies and then get these repaired. So, while our thought process as an organization from start, has been that how do you improve the customer experience, and everything that we do as an organization, whether it is the policy document, which is a 40-page document written in font size 8. It's like the car booklet that comes with every car. No customer reads it, right? So what we did was we actually changed the entire language of the policy wordings or the document that the customer needs to know. So any of you who or all our listeners, you could visit our site or look at our document. It is a language that we would understand as customers. We would talk to our friends. We would talk to our family. So that is the kind of innovation that needs to come in. On the product side, while we've been talking cashless with the industry on auto insurance over a period of time, there was always a compulsory deductible or something like that, which always, customer had to shell out some money at the dealership workshop and, then go ahead. But we have been saying cashless. So, on a product side, we actually invented a add-on there where customer could have a complete cashless experience. The entire deductible also gets waived off. But what we did, and it brilliantly timed with COVID, luckily for us, is that we came out with a product on auto insurance. It's called Edelweiss Switch. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but IIDA did come up with a sandbox regulatory environment where they said, जो पहले किया उसको भूलो, try something new, and and the newer companies were obviously much more keener to do it rather than anything. So we launched a product end to end, building the IT infrastructure, the app for the product, everything from end to end, which is a on-demand insurance. So you can switch off the insurance for the number of days that you don't use your car.
Oh wow, fantastic!
And that's something brilliant that we have been able to come out in the COVID. It's called Edelweiss Switch. Any one of you can visit that and buy that product. It's available on our website. What we also did was that
it's like a subscription model on insurance. You subscribe.
Yes, so you primarily buy a month ka insurance, and then based on your usage, you can switch it on, switch it off. So it's an app based on demand every day basis that you can get charged. So on an average, a customer saves about 30 to 40% what have been our last 3 months numbers on the insurance premium.
So my premium goes down by that, huh?
Yeah, so that's the current on an average.
What does it increase, or does it just decreases your outflows, huh? Because the consumers forgot to switch it on and suddenly there was something.
No, so I'm saying it is also about adoption. Technology will take time for consumer to understand that something like this is available. So insurance will first time become an engagement tool for the customer, rather than being एक बार खरीदा claim आया तभी बात करेंगे, and otherwise renewal के time बात करेंगे. So engagement becomes much more. What is also helpful for us in this is that it gives us patterns in terms of studying how the consumer behavior actually is, and it helps us get the good drivers into the organization. What is also brilliant about the same product is that you could have up to 3 cars or two-wheeler or a combination of that in one policy itself. So you could have
like a group policy,
all the 3 cars that you own, which are run by you as a company, as a house, and you could put them into one policy. So now you don't have to remember dates कब मैंने कौन सी गाड़ी खरीदी थी, and you could
like a family plan,
Absolutely. So
family plan.
I think that's the key to bringing in demand, bringing in partnerships, or thinking new. So I think from our end as an insurance company and as an industry, so industry, while we have been quite slow to innovate, but I think we are kind of getting it, and while our thought process was a little enhanced in terms of where everyone else is, because we had a digital operating model and we wanted to be an insurtech from start. I don't think it will leave the COVID will not leave an option of every other company, however big, however small, to become an insurtech. So whether you choose whether you want to be an insurtech or not, you will have to eventually become an insurtech, and that's the route for any insurance company. So those are my opening remarks.
Surely. Must say, Rakesh, these are some very innovative points that you have shared. Just the way we have a group health insurance, so something like that you have on the motor insurance, and also that switch off on and off, like a subscription model. I must say, surely you are innovating in this mundane insurance, space. And I totally agree with you. It's a very personal thing. You talk to the insurer, while you're buying it or when you have to renew, and hopefully never in between. But if there can be an additional engagement in between also with that subscription switch, sounds good. So with that, before we get into the Q&A, which will start at 6. And by the way, I want to also welcome a lot of our attendees, from Jubilant MotorWorks, from VW, from FADA. In fact, friends, we also have the Honorable President of FADA, Mr. Ashish Kale, amongst the attendees. He's very patiently listening to each one of you. So now, if we can just do a small discussion on after-sales business of ours, how we are managing that in these times. What are the few innovations that we might have done? And also for the health, hygiene, social distancing, what are the things that we feel are very important to be in place?
Just a thought, Anuj. I mean, we were discussing about after sales and is it getting its due finally, right? So I think after sales was getting too much of its due, and it's high time sales probably starts chipping in from a bottom line perspective. I think if you look at historically over the last several years, all manufacturers have been citing that after sales is good. So why margin, all of that, right? So I think now 3 months, right? You're locked. You don't have a service at all, and customers aren't coming for service. They're not willing to spend. So I think what has been happening is we've been too much dependent on this one stream, which is after sales, and that needs to change. And going forward, I think a lot more of work from home. People aren't going to be traveling on highways, so your body shop repairs are also going to come down. And also going back, fundamentally, I think structurally there's something wrong with the overall network today. Like how Vinkesh was saying, we witnessed severe degrowth last year, and now it's COVID, right? So it's going to be a while before we get back anywhere close to our aspirational growth rates. But our system is designed for X number of cars, right? The network is designed for, let's say, 100 cars. We're selling 50 cars, 60 cars, right? So basic economics, I mean, you have more the competition, you drive your price to levels of cost, and if you're crazy enough, you go below cost as well. So I think we kind of need to relook at what is going on overall in the system itself, and with the highest cost of capital and the lowest margin structure, and service being the only single-legged thing that we're leaning on, we got to relook at this.
I agree with Arun completely, Anuj. The issue is that for far too long, in fact, the question that you have posed really is it, I agree with Arun. In fact, that's exactly what we have been doing for a number of years. And look at the business model out of, say, USA. Good amount of their margin comes from used car business. Look at China. In China, it comes from the accessories and the parts margin. Here we are in a straight jacket. Only business is after sales and mainly again accident repairs. Now that's not a good business model to be running. In UK, 80% of the body shop business doesn't even go to the authorized dealerships. And who knows when this will happen in India. We have now startups like Pitstop. We have startups like Go Mechanic who are going to start eating away with on this business. And the insurance companies will be very happy to kind of support these guys who will charge much cheaper. So this is something which is, to my mind, obviously the dealerships are focusing on this, continue to focus on this because there is really no other alternative as of now. And the car margins are really, the parts margin, not car margin, the parts margin that we are talking about are also quite kind of controlled. And those need to go up. Really we are again trying to be repetitive, being repetitive. I'm saying that for far too long we have kind of taken kind of a leaf out of a book which was written 25 years back, and we are only trying to make incremental changes. The time has come for humongous path-breaking changes into how we really want to do business. And if there was a time, this is the time now.
So Anuj, basically when you ask the question after sales business finally gets its due, I think it should be that it's got its due over now. So like we have already, if you have seen, FADA has published the vehicle margins just around a month or two back. And we have Sanjay is in that group where we have asked all the main dealers who are dealer advisory, chairman of dealer advisory council or part of that, to push the OEMs to come to a standard of 7% of dealer margin on the selling price. So with that, we have even given the information of margins across world, whatever we could hold of 7-8 countries. Like Sanjay said, we are in the lowest strata, and obviously used car is one wing where the margins are. The after sales is one, but it cannot be said that sales will bank upon on these two to make a dealer viable. So these are different verticals of the dealership. You cannot say that one vertical has to like I don't know if you know the term. There is a term named service absorption ratio, SAR we use. So SAR is primarily what they say, that you should earn from service the basic costs of the sales. So if you are not able to sell even one vehicle, the service should support it. But have you seen any business where a person has a business to support the other business? So I feel Amit was clear that are we traders or are we? So automobile dealerships is a complex business. We have service also, we have sales also, and we have the support like insurance, accessories, and everything. We give customer all kind of services. So overall, whatever verticals is under the dealership fraternity, every vertical has to earn. So obviously, after sales is obviously getting its due, and I feel now even customers are wanting to check that what is service cost on the every model or every OEM. So that is also coming into their consideration while buying the vehicle. So now we'll have to work on how to earn from sales also to support service further going down.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you on that, Vinkesh bhai. So actually service absorption ratio as a term in itself is incorrect. It is like a subsidy, like a Besaki, like a piece of crutch to sales. कि भैया आप कमा नहीं पा रहे, तो you take this a pair of crutches for you to support and absorb.
I didn't want to use those words basically.
I have the liberty to use it. That's why I am in this business. So why do that? It's time that the sales function stands on its own feet. Why should it be taking the crutches of vehicle after sales or body shop for that matter? And as Sanjay bhai rightly mentioned, it just could be a matter of time when that business starts going away to the go mechanics and pit stops of the world. And I'll tell you why I mentioned that after sales gets its final due. Working into OEMs and so many friends in the OEMs, I can bet even now, the best people or the most ambitious people in OEMs, they want to work in sales and marketing. Glamour hai ya kuch bhi hai ya fastest growth or fastest trajectory to MD's position hai. So that was a perspective. I know it's pretty contentious, but that's how it is.
Actually, it's reversed now. Anuj. After sales is like the Atlas who's carrying the weight of the entire operation.
Absolutely.
And the unsung hero of any operation, be it at OEM level or at retail level. I think after sales is one place where you actually build future relationships. I think after sales only comes into picture for a customer when there's something which goes wrong. And at that time, what is the treatment that the customer gets defines the future relationship with the specific dealership. Otherwise, and then, in that sense, cars are a unique product. Unlike most other products where transaction is one time, right? Which is you buy and, your relationship with the partner is over or the retailer is over. This is at least a 3-year relationship which a customer gets into when he buys a car. And after sales from that perspective, again, is extremely important. But at the same time, it's been far too overhyped in terms of how it should be contributing to the bottom line of the dealership for far too long, right? It's about time that, everybody starts thinking on how every single revenue stream is positive in its own right.
In fact, it's time that the streams get bifurcated. They should be individual, independent, the revenue streams, and they have to be themselves, entitled,
deliver on their own,
and accountable to deliver on their own.
Correct.
And yes, the contribution to after sales cannot be overemphasized. In fact, years back when we started doing programs at World Auto Forum, our debut program was India Vehicle After Sales, IVAS. So that was the reason why we started, for the same reason. So now getting into a Q&A mode, if our friends, our attendees who have been listening to us patiently for so long, if you have questions, just raise your hands and we can loop you in. And we just have 12 more minutes for Q&A before we wrap up. Because it's a Saturday evening and I'm sure everybody has plans, of course, in-house plans. And we should not be, a detriment. All right, any questions or everything is sorted and clear? No questions at all? No questions? So we can continue talking for next 10, 11 minutes? All right, so gentlemen, there are no questions. So any closing remarks from your end, please feel free to share. Please feel free.
See, on a positive note, Anuj, one thing is very clear, that rural is going gung-ho. We have seen a good monsoon. The Rabi crops is good. Kharif has exceeded the expectation, and the latest agricultural benefits what government is giving, the MSP is able to sell open market. I feel I don't know about this group. We are all majorly based in metros and bigger towns, but the tier 2, tier 3 town dealers would be happy. Even with intermittent lockdowns and small lockdowns happening, their revival will be faster than dealers who are based out of metros and capitals. Overall, what we feel that urban will take more time to come back because of the pay cuts and the job losses, or even expected job losses. If it has happened, it can happen. So automatically there's lower disposable income. So the customer sentiment is weaker towards the urban side than the rural side. So, but if rural is coming back, and I don't know if you have seen latest report which ET did on the percentage of dealership. 73% two-wheeler dealership is in rural as per FADA source, and 54% of passenger vehicle is there. So if we combine urban and semi-urban and rural, it comes to around 70-80% in passenger vehicle also.
Huge chunk.
So if rural goes good, so majority of the dealers are happy.
So we are sorted as an industry.
Yeah. So overall, I think not back to the normal, but things will be positive going further.
Fair enough.
Yeah, my view, Anuj, is that I'm a capitalist by heart and nature. So generally believe in free market economies and everything that goes along with it.
True.
So the view I have right now, and as an organization what we have, is that there will be consolidation, and there should be consolidation because we have far too many fragmented dealers. And one of the learnings from this COVID is that the strength of the network is tested. We will see a lot of dealerships folding up. That has been something which has been going on for some years now, because intrinsically they are undercapitalized. This whole business has not attracted structured capital like it has attracted world over.
True.
And the reason is that we want small fragmented dealers. It is like having small farms in India. Obviously, the farm productivity is less over here. So we keep on breaking our farm sizes from 1 acre to half acre to quarter acre. As somebody said that every 5 kilometers there is a dealership. Nobody is better off. So unless structured money comes in, lot of money comes in, which will help the industry to grow. It will help the job creation. This is a no-win game. So this is something which I believe we will see. We will see a lot of dealerships fold up in the next 3 to 6 months. And if the OEs really realize that it is in their interest to basically have larger groups, I'm sure there will be more money which will be backing a lot of people on this screen or outside bigger groups, professionally run groups, and that is the way to go. At Landmark, we are also happy that we have launched our online sales platform. I believe it is the first dealership chain to have done it, whereas there is an end-to-end kind of a sales thing. So dealerships will also need to build their own brand. Obviously, the OEs have their own brand, and that's what drives the business mainly. But the dealership chains will also need to build their own brand. Absolutely. And capitalize on this. And that's the way to go.
Surely. So, Mr. Thakker, I was talking to one of the top retailers of the country the other day, and he didn't want to be named. He had mentioned a percentage figure which is similar to the cost-cutting target that we are looking at. He had said that in the next 3 to 6 months, there might be 30% dealerships which might have wrapped up in India. You feel that can be true?
I really don't know. The banks would have a better view of what they are doing. But see, the point is that if the sales is dropping by 30% or more, where is the need of those 30% people? In fact, it goes arithmetically. Absolutely. There are OEs who have built up, say, for a plan of 100. They are right now at, say, 35 or 40. What is happening? Obviously, we are over-dealered. And there is not enough money, enough on the plate for everybody to eat. So the smarter OEs are really encouraging M&A. They are actually asking people to kind of merge with each other, nudging them. And that's the way of life. I mean, we are at a certain situation and we need to handle it. If everybody just stays in the game, everybody will slowly bleed to death.
True.
And one of the other things which I would like to point out is that there has been more than enough money available from the banks so far.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the problem. And this 20 years back when I entered the industry, I realized that the problem of the industry was the too less equity and too much debt.
Yeah.
Now, debt was available on tap. What was happening? People were just borrowing left, right, and center, and banks, for the reason of increasing their business, were lending continuously. Now, this is the problem, and this is what is the outcome of what we have done in the last 15, 20 years. And this is the music is bound to stop. It should stop.
Okay.
And then let's find out what really is there left.
Okay, so Mr. Thakker says that the music is bound to stop until the time we face the music, huh? Because of that. So,
those are really tough words, you know, and while they are tough, they are necessarily not wrong. You know, that is something which will sadly unfold in the times to come. But at the same time, you know, being an optimist, what I see is that when whoever emerges out successfully out of this entire episode would be much more efficient. You know, one pandemic which is specific to the industry is margin erosion. You know, we willfully give away our well-deserved margin to the customers in greed of a few extra units. I hope that would stop as well. You know, and everybody would come to a realization that the only way to do the business is profitably, and you know, that is the way to go forward.
great. And before we come to this question, which has been asked by Mr. Devinder Sharma, Tanuj bhai, I would like to, get you in the discussion. You know, as Vinkesh bhai was mentioning that the recovery is faster in rural and semi-urban. So like you also have dealerships in metros, in rural and semi-urban. What have been your trends in your group towards this recovery?
Overall, I've seen a very strange trend as of now. If I talk about Metro, which is Bombay, we have dealerships in Bombay. I've seen a overwhelming response in the half of the month operations what we are going through, because Bombay is supposed to run alternate days as of now with limited manpower, but the response is amazing because the public transport is not operational. I see a huge surge in demand of vehicles there. So Bombay operations are going good as of now. I don't know what will happen after the public transport is open. The challenge there is managing the manpower. As far as rural or semi-urban is concerned, I don't see much difference in terms of numbers or in terms of the rationality in terms of buying decision. So I see the same numbers happening, the same rationale being applied by the people, the same set of or mindset of people coming back to the dealerships. So for me, I don't see a much difference. Whereby I was very optimistic about the two-wheeler business going drastically high and the smaller cars selling. In the previous webinar also we discussed this, like, there will be a huge surge in the small cars and bikes. I did not see that happening. So it's almost same across, because we deal into luxury cars, we deal into small cars.
You're everywhere, we know that.
So I'm seeing the same pattern everywhere. We are at around 65-70% of business this month and across.
Tanuj bhai, what about pre-owned small car?
So yeah, pre-owned small car is one segment which I've seen a bit of surge than previous. Maybe it is because of our focus has changed. We have also focused much more on the pre-owned car segment as of now. So maybe that is the result, but it is too early to predict whether those segments are going up or going down. As of now, the sales have increased for sure.
Okay, fair enough. So now getting Mr. Devinder Sharma. Mr. Sharma, you can ask your question directly to the panelists. Please feel free. Mr. Sharma, you there?
I think he's muted.
Mr. Sharma, please feel free to ask your question.
You have to unmute him, I guess.
I can only ask him to unmute. I can't take away his unmuting right. Anyways, I think...
hi, thank you for giving this opportunity to share some, say to something. So just want to ask some good ideas about to recover the business for sale and after sales from I think the wonderful people who has have some good ideas. I think over this panel. And second, I have a question about does online business or online marketing does support our after sales business also?
Okay, great. Good question, Mr. Sharma. So, dear speakers, please feel free to take it.
Let Sanjay address this because he has just pioneered into the online sales part. So
Yeah. So early days, my friend. But yes, I don't see why after sales also should not go online. We are actually doing all the things online, whether booking movie tickets or ordering food or everything that we really do. So really, this whole model of calling and booking appointments and all, it requires a huge amount of change. The OEs and somebody has been quite vocal about it that the auto industry per se, the digitization and the automation it's world over. It's an industry which has been slow off the track. It's not the bellwether of good technology, and this is something which will need to change. It will change, and it may change more rapidly than what we all think.
Tanuj bhai was also saying something to the same thing. Please.
No, I was asking Sanjay bhai to address the question so that because he has just recently launched this online sales platform. And,
Yes.
that was really interesting. As a dealer, we really look up to him for everything what he does. Why don't you elaborate it, Sanjay bhai? What are you doing on that so we can learn from that?
Yeah, so basically early days, so we encourage people to come on to the website, and hopefully over a period of time, it will be end-to-end website with every kind of functionality that you would have in a dealership, 3S dealership. So whatever you do,
how would it be different from the OEM online marketing what they are doing?
Sorry.
How will it be different from the OEM sales what they are doing online or after sales what they are doing providing online?
Things will emerge. We deal in several brands. So each brand will require its own strategy to kind of do it. And many of the OEs are doing, they are ahead of the pack. Some are not as savvy or only have half the functions that some others have. So we may have to kind of do what we have to do.
Brilliant.
So Tanuj, I have a small, we also do a little bit of online. What you can enable on a dealership website is the transactions, which generally can't happen on the website, except things like payment of your service, which is generally a big challenge in a dealership environment. Apart from booking of your cars, uploading of your documents, KYC documents, and transactions. Because in the COVID period, where even if you're selling, generally it's not very possible for you to go and collect all the KYC documents. So a lot of that has moved online. And the real transactions where you actually encourage people to pay online through the portal that you have. Some of those things have already started and some of them will emerge as the time progresses.
I would just like to add one more thing over here. Most of us might be taking services for pick and drop. There are companies like 21 North and companies like, Pick My Car. So if we can put their widgets on our websites where the customer can track his or her car, that can be a huge value add to the consumer, especially these days when they're not stepping out, they're not going to the workshop. 80-90% cars are pick and drop. That can be a huge enabler for our online after sales wing.
I think I may want to add that, do it yourself, DIY is becoming a greater concept as such, and enabling customers, and there'll be a segment of customers. I think the first thing that we should know is who is the customer that we are targeting. Even when we are talking about digital marketing or digital campaigns or digital as a medium of sales, who is that target segment that we want to engage with, and how do we engage with them is what is more important, because there is a lot of inflow from companies on digital spend, but is it hitting the right segment? Is it the right customer from a dealership point of view or from an OE point of view? I think that becomes the key to it of getting that to convert into actual sales and service over a period.
Great. So, friends,
so,
we are
Anuj, can I have a minute? So, Rakesh ji, one question for you. So, the insurance on the car front or the two-wheeler front is a very, very confusing thing.
Absolutely.
While competing between ourselves, we don't know what dealer has offered what. So it could be a normal insurance, it could be a zero-dep insurance, it could be a with consumable insurance, it could be a hydrostatic, blah, 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 all. Why can't we have a good one umbrella policy and cheaper? I'm not saying add-ons. So if I want to get a customer vehicle insured fully means maybe back to invoice price, it just becomes double the insurance price, whatever we can do as a normal.
So there are two sides to it, Vinkesh. One is, the insurance industry also plagues with a similar problem that it is the lowest margin industry from our perspective also. The auto insurance business, for no insurance company makes money. No insurance company out of the 31 companies that run auto insurance. Primarily the insurance premiums in India are at a very low. You compare to any averagely well-doing economy, the average premiums are about 8 to 9% for a car. In India, it runs at about 1.5%. So the margins in itself in insurance are pretty limited. The other thing which is happening, and while I understand from a consumer point of view, there is that debate of what is covered, what is not covered. It is confusing. The regulator has shown signs. The IRDAI has shown signs, especially with the health insurance product in the last 3 months. There are products for Corona specific that have got launched. I'm sure quite a few of you are aware that there are standard products that have got launched for all 31, 32, 33 companies. And the only difference in them is price. The product remains the same so that there is no confusion. So while the regulator wants to do some standardization, I think the innovation there gets killed when you actually standardize the product. So I think it's a debate for a longer run, but from a consumer point of view, yes, there is confusion. And I think we as an industry, the insurance industry, the automobile industry, hold the responsibility to communicate to the customer how simplified we can do. And like I said at the start of my opening remark, that how well can you create that 40-page document into 1 page and communicate to the customer, which you have written in font 8 size and got it approved. Communicate to the customer becomes the key of what is covered, what is not covered. And I think that will bring success to us as an industry from insurance.
Surely. That's well said, Rakesh. So I think today was a great session. We have discussed, I think, everything under the sun in automotive retail, right from the stocks to the interest rates, dealer margins, the after sales revenue, the dealer agreements, whatnot. And of course, and I'm very happy that we were very open, free and candid, in our discussion. And I'm sure a lot of OEMs will take a cue from this discussion and we will all march ahead, win-win together for survival, because that's the only thing which counts. And of course, thanks a lot, dear speakers, for making our day. And together, let's also thank Team WAF, Mohini and Jerry, sir.
Anuj, one parting question I have for all the speakers, for any one of them. What do you think? Who will open the wallets first? The SUV buyers, the luxury buyers, or the smaller car buyers?
This answer is already given, Mohini. It's the small car buyers. First is small car buyers, then the compact car buyers, then the SUV. Luxury,
but the money is with the SUV and luxury buyers, right? So that won't create an impact.
So luxury, no comments. It depends upon person to person. But if you talk about mass, it's small car, then compact.
Yes, and also
I'll request others to come in if some other.
No,
you're right.
What you're saying, that seems to be my or our organization's view also.
Yeah.
Great, fantastic. So thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, and a big thanks to our dear attendees as well, for all our members from the OEMs, from FADA, FAD office bearers. Thanks a ton, and let's stay together and let's stay safe. Thank you so much. Thank you,
everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, staff team. Thank you very much.